Hey, what's going on everybody? Commander Crane here, and we're back with another deck tech. So I know it's been about a week since I posted my last video, mostly because I've been really busy with work and traveling and stuff like that, but I'm really excited to bring another deck tech. So once again, quick little thing, I will always have the deck list posted in the description below, so that way if you want to check it out for yourself, it'll still be on Goldfish if you'd like to check it out. And as always, do you like the list? Do you not like the list? Let me know in the comment section below what you think. So, alright, so today we have a $50 Gruul Aggro deck for Modern. So, the other day I was putting a couple concept lists for like competitive decks that I was thinking about trying, and I had put in a Modern one recently because I know like the next season is going to be Modern for the RCQ cycle. And I was looking at the different decks, and so like the Pioneer decks I was putting in we're only around the $200-300 range, and the Modern one I put in was like $900, which honestly is not even like terrible for a Modern deck to a certain extent. And it kind of got me thinking like, wow, you know, like a $50 Pioneer deck's a lot easier to do than a $50 Modern deck, because you know you got to make a lot of sacrifices. Obviously you can't play fetch lands, that kind of thing. So I wanted to share a new list that you could definitely play at your local game store and probably do pretty okay with. So this is $50 Gruul Aggro. I had a non-budget version of this list a while ago, and it played really, really well. And honestly, this budget list is very, very close to it. So we're going to hop right into it here. And again, once again, it's Modern. It's not Pioneer. Close to Pioneer, honestly, but still Modern. So, all right. So we're going to start off with our 1-drops. We got a couple of dorks here. We have 4 Ignoble Hierarch. 0-1 for 1 green. It's a Goblin Shaman with Exalted, which, for those who don't know what Exalted is, it's whenever a creature you control attacks alone, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. And then Llanowar Elves makes green. So, funny enough, Ignoble Hierarch is actually a large part of our budget here. We don't have Birds of Paradise instead of Llanowar Elves, mostly because we couldn't fit him in the budget. So, Ignoble Hierarch was our cheapest dork that is able to make red mana, which is pretty much better than Birds of Paradise anyway, so we're really not losing out on too much here. So yes, we have 4 Ignobles and 4 Llanowar Elves. Then we have 4 Bonecrusher Giant. I feel like every deck I build, I have 4 Bonecrusher Giant. So we have the instant side, Stomp, red and 1, deals 2 damage to any target. Damage can't be prevented this turn. And the flip side's a 4/3 for 3. Whenever it's targeted by a spell, it deals 2 damage to that spell's controller. Bonecrusher Giant is just an extremely efficient card. It kills things, and it's a 4/3 for 3. I mean, enough said. The card is just amazing. Then we have 4 Gruul Spellbreaker. 3/3 for 1 green red with Riot, which means it either comes into play with a 1/1 counter or haste, and has trample. And as long as it's your turn, Gruul Spellbreaker, you and Gruul Spellbreaker have hexproof, which is a very, very good card. I love Gruul Spellbreaker. 2 Mygla's Maze Crusher, a brand new one from Phyrexia OLB1. It's a 4/4 for green, red, and 1 for a Phyrexian Beast Legendary. Enters the battlefield with 5 oil counters on it. Tap 1, remove an oil counter from Mygla's. It gains Vigilance and Menace. Tap 2, remove 2 oil counters. It gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Tap 3, remove 3 oil counters from Mygla's, destroy target artifact or enchantment. So Mygla's is a really, really great card. I'm really trying to find a great deck for it, but I think this is a deck that could definitely take advantage of this card. It's a really, really cheap card in terms of cost, in terms of like monetary value, but I mean a 4/4 for 3 with a bunch of upside is always great. So we're playing 2 of these because it is legendary, but I think the card's really, really good. 4 Bloodbraid Elf. 3/2 for 2 red-green Elf Berserker with haste and Cascade. For those who don't know what Cascade is, it's when you cast this spell, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card with lesser converted mana cost. You may cast that card. So cool thing about Bloodbraid Elf is obviously, 3/2 with haste, so it really gets in there the first turn you play it. What's also great is we have all these amazing other spells that we're able to cascade into. So, get our 3/2 with haste, trigger, boom, hit a Gruul Spellbreaker. We can give that haste 2 if we want, get in for 6. Overall, Bloodbraid Elf is just a really, really great card in this deck. It's essentially 2 cards for 1, which is great. You know, even if you just hit like a Llanowar off or something, at least you're getting a free 1/1 out of it, which is great. And also, cool thing about Bloodbraid Elf, the card is very inexpensive, which is great for this deck. Then we have 2 Hellrider, 3/3 for haste for 2 and 2 red. Whenever a creature you control attacks, Hellrider deals 1 damage to defending player. So this is a big throwback for those who used to play Hellrider in Standard. This card, you know, being able to just attack, you haven't even dealt combat damage yet, and my PC is running low, so that's great. But with Hellrider, though, what's really, really great is, you know, you just get all your attacks in, and then you're dealing damage before you've even actually dealt combat damage, which is awesome. And then we have 4 Glorybringer, which is a 4/4 flying in haste for 3 and 2 red. It's a dragon. You may exert Glorybringer as it attacks. When you do, it deals 4 damage to target non-dragon creature an opponent controls. Glorybringer is just an awesome card in general. It kills things, it gets damage in the air, and it's really, really cheap to buy. I mean, a playset's only $3 because it just got a big reprint. Glorybringer is an amazing top end of the curve. It just gets in there, smashes, kills things. I mean, 4 damage to a non-dragon that kills almost everything in the format. Planeswalkers, we just have 3. 3 Domri, Anarch of Bolas. 3 loyalty for red, green, and 1 legendary Planeswalker Domri. Creatures you control get +1/+0, that's static ability. +1, make red or green. Creature spells you control this turn can't be countered. And then -2 is a fight spell. Definitely being able to anthem our creatures and being able to make mana for us to get into like our Glorybringers is great. And on top of that, our opponent, if they're playing counter spells for our creatures, they don't do anything. So the card is just really, really great. I love Domri. That's why we're playing 3. So just regular spells. In this case, instants, we have 4 Lightning Bolt, 1 red instant, 3 to a target. Clean answer, hits our opponent, hits our opponent's creatures. It's great. We love Lightning Bolt, playing 4. So, a little bit of an interesting one, but 2 Collision of Colossus. So the collision side is 1 red-green hybrid, deals 6 damage to a creature with flying. Colossus, red-green, instant, target creature gets +4/+2 and gains trample until end of turn. So I wanted like a pump spell in this deck. A lot of the cards I would normally play in the slot, like Embercleave, are a bit too much for us to play in our budget, unfortunately. So that's why we're playing Collision of Colossus. And hey, you know what? We can snag some Murktide Regents with this. There's a decent chance we can. So it's just a great card overall. It's just that like attack, boom, gotcha kind of card. Lands, we're playing 23 lands, obviously because we're on a budget. Very limited in terms of what lands we can play. So we're playing 5 forests, 8 mountains, 2 Lair of the Hydra. It's essentially a fast land, and we can tap a green and X and make it an XX green Hydra until end of turn. Just a great man land for that late game reach. And then we have 4 Carplusian Forests, new one from Dominaria United. We can tap for colorless or tap for red-green and deals 1 damage to us. It's an untapped dual land, which is really important in this deck. And then 4 Game Trail. So it comes in untapped if we reveal a mountain or a forest card from our hand, essentially. So it's potentially untapped mana. Most of the time it'll be untapped, I'd say, in the games that I've played it. But yes, we want that untapped mana. That's why we're playing Game Trail. So our sideboard is pretty simple overall. It's just kind of like a bunch of the different decks in the metagame. It kind of covers everything. So we have 2 Tormod Script, 0 mana artifact. It exiles target player's graveyard when we sacrifice it. It's Graveyard Hate. That's 0 mana, which is great. That's exactly what we want in this deck. 2 Tyvar Stand. Green and X instant. Target creature you control gets +X/+X and gains Hexproof and Indestructible until end of turn. It's a great protection spell for all of our creatures, and we can also use it as a kill spell, or like we can, like our unblocked creature, boom, Tyvar Stand, pump it, which is great. It helps us like win combat. Overall, Tyvar Stand's an awesome card. 2 Cindervines, red-green enchantment. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, Cindervines deals 1 damage to that player. 1 sacrifice, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Cindervines deals 2 damage to that permanent's controller. Any opponent that's playing a ton of instants or sorceries, we bring this in. If they're playing meaningful artifacts and enchantments, we bring this in. It's just a great card. It chips them for a bunch of damage, and, we can blow up ensnaring bridges, we can blow up whatever. Any problematic artifacts and enchantments. 2 Damping Sphere. 2 mana artifact. If a land is tapped for 2 or more mana, it produces 1 colorless instead. Each spell a player casts costs 1 more to cast for each other spell that player has cast this turn. TLDR, we bring it against Tron, and we bring it against like Storm decks, and that's pretty much the main reason we do it. Also, we can bring it against Amulet. Just a good catch-all card. 2 Dragon's Claw, 2 mana artifact. Whenever a player casts a red spell, you may gain 1 life. Burn. Enough said. We bring it against burn. That's it. That's all we do. Landing this makes it extremely hard for them to kill us, especially since we're also playing red spells. 2 Plummet. Green and 1 instant. Destroy target creature with flying. It comes in against 1 deck, and that is Murktide. That's pretty much, I mean, unless there's some Gristle brands floating around your metagame, pretty much it's destroy Murktide Regent, or you can also get rid of a Ledger Shredder as well. But that's what those are in there for. 1 Scavenging Ooze, 2/2 for green and 1. Not legendary, just an ooze. We can tap a green, exile target card from a graveyard. If it's a creature, we get a 1/1 counter and gain a life. It's Graveyard Hate, gains us life. Great late game against like mid-range decks and control decks. Card's awesome, what can I say? And the last card, 2 Pillage. Red 1, sorcery. Destroy target artifact or land. It can't be regenerated. For those who don't know, I love my land destruction. I like Pillage, and I was like, you know what? This would be a great Pillage deck. Bring this in against Tron. You can bring this in to blow up Urza Sagas. Again, any meaningful artifacts. You bring it against like Amulet Titan, get rid of those pesky bounce lands. That's why you bring in the Pillages. And then also you could bring it in like on the play against control decks, which is also pretty good too. So, all right, that is $50 Gruul Aggro. Once again, what do you like about the list? What do you not like about the list? Is there anything you would change? Is there cards that you would rather play? That kind of thing. Just let me know in the comments below. And once again, I will leave the deck list in the description below for you to check out yourself if you want to happen to build it. So, I'd like to thank everybody for joining me on this episode of Modern Deck Tech, specifically $50 Deck Tech, and I'll see you in the next episode.